Greetings, fellow classic television fans. Today we'll begin our series on the television adaptation of the courtroom drama Perry Mason. The show is based on the novels of author and former lawyer Earl Stanley Gardner about a criminal defense lawyer. It ran on CBS from September 1957 to May 1966 for an astonishing 271 episodes.
271 episodes? That ought to cover some lawyer fees.
The Perry Mason character was brought to life with a string of films during the 1930s. During the 1940s, it was also brought to radio. That adaptation was thoroughly disliked by the author, and as a result, he refused to license out any more of his Perry Mason material. Gardner's literary agent was a man named Thomas Cornwell Jackson. He was married to the successful movie actress GAIL Patrick. Some of her most notable film credits were My Man Godfrey, Stage Door, and My Favorite Wife.
She's quite pretty.
GAIL's talent, drive, and know-how didn't begin or end in the movies. Prior to her Hollywood stint, she had studied law in college, which would serve her well in her future efforts to bring Perry Mason to TV. In 1948, GAIL Patrick retired from her film work as she and her husband focused on raising a family. But GAIL still had more of a legacy to carve out for herself in the entertainment industry. During the 1950s, she began her efforts to convince her husband's client, Earl Gardner, to bring his Perry Mason stories to the newly popular television format. He trusted GAIL and knew she was still very connected in Hollywood.
She must have been a chef, too, because I smell something cooking.
In order to bring Perry Mason to television, GAIL and her husband, along with Earl Gardner, formed Paisano Productions, with the industry-savvy GAIL acting as president. CBS showed initial interest to make it a live one-hour broadcast, but the Paisano team felt strongly that the show should be taped for two reasons. First, they believed it was way too much content for the main character to handle in a live broadcast. And second, they were aware of the monetary value of filmed reruns.
It was such a great plan, I figured with a little help from me it'd be perfect.
According to CBS executive Ann Nelson, GAIL later revealed she'd penned the entire counter-contract herself and made it wildly favorable for Paisano Productions. She admitted she had every reason to believe CBS would reject it, but they didn't, and the only real concession was that Paisano had to pay for the pilot episode. The deal created a huge financial success for Paisano. The company retained 60% rights to all the taped episodes, and on top of that, CBS had to purchase the rights for 272 stories from Earl Gardner. As a result, GAIL Patrick Jackson became one of Hollywood's first female executive producers.
Wow, they should have nicknamed her GAIL the Go-Getter.
And she was the only female producer with a primetime show during its entire run. In addition, she also later served 2 terms as vice president of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, which oversees the Emmys. In the 1950s and 60s, it was no secret that Hollywood was a man's world, so this deal turned out to be a huge achievement for this woman and an inspiration for many to follow.
I wonder what went on in her mind.
Many established actors were considered for the lead, such as Mike Connors, William Holden, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., and even Fred McMurray. But GAIL had claimed they weren't budgeting for a well-known star. While conducting hundreds of auditions, she said she had been very impressed by Raymond Burr's courtroom appearance in the movie A Place in the Sun. She felt Burr would be perfect as long as he would agree to drop a few pounds for the role. Perry Mason went on to receive an Emmy nomination in its first year as Best Dramatic Series. As the series progressed, 2 of the statues went home with Raymond Burr and one with his co-star Barbara Hale. In addition to the Emmy Awards, the show was recognized with the first ever American Bar Association Silver Gavel Award to be presented to a TV show.
Now that's what I call order in the court.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode on the creators of TV's Perry Mason. If so, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share your comments. Also, tune in for our next episode when I perform the show's classic theme song. And in a future episode, we'll talk more about Raymond Burr, his co-stars, and the wealth of guest stars who appeared on the show. Until next time, folks, don't touch that dial.